Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're breaking down a really big shift in global climate policy. We're talking about the United States' decision to pull out of the entire international climate framework, and of course, what that means for the rest of the world, especially for India.
This whole situation really boils down to one critical question, doesn't it? When a country like the United States, the world's largest economy, just decides to walk away from the table, what are the real-world consequences for everyone else?
So, the official announcement has been made, and it's sent shockwaves across the globe. You see, the U.S. isn't just leaving a single agreement here. It's stepping away from the very foundation of global climate action, which, let's be honest, puts the whole process of tackling climate change together in a very tricky spot.
Okay, so what does this complete disengagement actually look like in practice? Well, this isn't just about one treaty. We're talking about a massive departure from the global stage on this issue.
And the scale of this exit is, well, it's pretty staggering. It's not just one thing. We're talking about the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. The UNFCCC, that's the parent treaty for pretty much all climate action. They're also leaving the IPCC, which is the world's top scientific body that gives us all the data for these policies. It's a full-blown retreat from decades of working together.
And this didn't just happen out of the blue. It's really the last domino to fall after the official withdrawal from the big Paris Agreement last year, which is kind of ironic because the U.S. was one of the main countries that helped create it in the first place just a few years ago.
So how does this global drama affect a key player like India? Well, for the world's third largest emitter, this creates let's just say, a very complicated picture.
For India, this is a classic double-edged sword. On one side, you could argue there's a bit of relief, maybe less international pressure to cut emissions super fast, but the other side of that sword is much, much sharper. This move could seriously hurt India's ability to get foreign investment for its huge clean energy plans, and it puts important partnerships like the US-India Clean Energy Partnership in a really uncertain place.
And if you want a perfect example of the direct impact, look no further than the International Solar Alliance. This is a huge deal for India's climate diplomacy, an organization co-founded by India and France. The US only just joined back in 2021, so for them to suddenly leave, that's a pretty big blow to the initiative's momentum.
So with the U.S. stepping back so dramatically, you've got this massive leadership vacuum opening up on the world stage. And in global politics, a vacuum like that almost never stays empty for long. Someone always steps in.
This quote from the Indian Express really hits the nail on the head. Forget the environmental side for a second. Many experts are looking at this and thinking it's a huge strategic mistake. It's like the U.S. is just handing over leadership of the entire green economy, the next big industrial revolution, to its main rival.
And this just creates a crystal clear opening. As the U.S. basically walks off the field, China is perfectly positioned to push its advantage. The whole world is moving towards renewables, and China has been playing the long game, setting itself up to dominate that shift.
And the data? Well, the data's pretty stark. You need a ton of equipment to make all this renewable energy happen. And as you can see here, China isn't just leading in manufacturing things like solar panels and batteries. It has an almost unbreakable grip on the entire supply chain.
Now, to really understand how we got to this point, it's so important to remember that America's relationship with climate action has always been, well, let's call it complicated. It's a real hot and cold history of leading one minute and pulling back the next. Just look at this timeline. It shows a clear pattern, right? One step forward, one step back. Way back in the 90s, the U.S. helped create the entire framework, but then it refused to join the Kyoto Protocol. Fast forward a bit, and it's championing the Paris Agreement, only to withdraw from that too. This latest move, though, leaving the foundational treaty itself, is by far the most extreme step yet.
So here's the really crucial point, the thing that makes this time different. In the past, U.S. policy was all over the place, sure, but the debate was always about how to respond to the problem. The U.S. was still part of the conversation. This latest move, this is a fundamental shift toward questioning the science and denying the problem exists at all.
So where does all this leave us? You've got the U.S. withdrawal, this new power vacuum, and all this historical context, and it all leads to one massive unanswered question. What happens now?
The world is really at a crossroads. Look, renewable energy is getting cheaper and better every day, but fighting climate change needs global teamwork on everything from sharing technology to financing these huge projects. With the U.S. walking away from its coordinating role, the path forward is looking a whole lot messier and more uncertain.
And that leaves us with the defining question for the next decade, really. Will China grab this opportunity to become the undisputed green superpower?
Or will we see a new group of countries, maybe led by the European Union and India, step up to fill that void? The clean energy future is coming, one way or another, but who's going to lead it and what values will shape it is now completely up for grabs.